Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another lovely co-casting. And in this one, we will be going up against the mighty Imperial Dane. You know, stressing about the potential Wehrmacht STUG cheese and all that wonderful stuff. Now, what does my opponent like to do? Like I just said, he likes to spam STUGs. He goes for a triple STUG push, and then he'll knock you out of the game. You know, respect to him, that's his playstyle. But at the same time, we're going to go ahead and pump out the counter cheese to his cheese. And the only cheese that the USF has is double Jeeps. And that's all we got, folks. Now, before somebody says, you know, bro, 2 double Jeep videos, I promise this is the last one. And at the same time, like I said, you know, Imperial Dane likes his triple STUG rush. So, tactical pause real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4 units to my 1. I'm just going to put that out there real quick. So before somebody says, you know, the double Jeep is the problem with the USF. All right, not like he has 3 capping speeds to my 1 unit. I just got the Jeep out into the field because I went plus 75% production time. So what are we worried about right now? I double-checked his profile. This is Imperial Dane, rank 128 Wehrmacht, so he's a challenge. Rank 103 DAC, definitely a challenge. And on top of that, I've seen a couple of his videos where he pumps out 3 engineers because I need to put these videos together to show you guys how to fight these high-level opponents and to survive the cheese. And that's the goal with these videos. I'm showing you how to survive, so if you ever fight me and you beat me, I did my job on how to beat me. So, double Jeeps onto the field. Left Jeep's going to go ahead and cap the VP and the fuel point. At the same time, right Jeep's going to go ahead and rush for the up fuel. We're not going to ignore the manpower point because we don't want his engineers to put down sandbags, further delaying my ability to keep him off the field and putting my Jeep in danger. Because as soon as engineers are onto the sandbag, they are pretty damn lethal. So, we're preventing that right out the get-go. Jeep gets the cap. Going to go ahead and put pressure on his manpower point. You know, any extra manpower for USF is good, and there's the engineers trying to get into cover, but we're going to go ahead and put as much bleed damage as possible onto the engineers. Now, as soon as the engineers stop, they put a shit ton of DPS onto the Jeep, so remember that. As long as they're moving, their moving accuracy is shit. But as soon as they halt and they're in sandbags, the damage onto the Jeep is critical. So you have to be very cautious. At the same time, going to the left side muni point, again, being careful. I kind of go too deep with this one, but it gets enough bleed damage on the move that Imperial Dane's going to go ahead and back off those engineers in a second. At the same time, right side of the map, Jeep's caught by some coastals off guard. We're going to go ahead and push back, get the decap on the muni, at the same time putting pressure on the engineers, and our first rifleman is onto the field. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to my 4. It's about to be 6 as soon as he gets enough manpower and calls in an additional coastal. So we win the left side engagement, going to ignore the muni point because what did I say in the beginning? Imperial Dane likes his STUG spam. So if you fight this guy, understand he's going to rush STUGs. And I did lose to him as Brits. He smashed me because I was trying, you know, something different, trying to understand how to play Brits. But Brits is completely worthless right now. Don't touch them. Avoid them at all costs. Save yourself some pain. Jeep's going to go ahead and back off, you know, running into some coastals onto the field right now. Rifleman putting pressure on the coastals in the center of the map. Sorry about the camera. I don't know why the tracking is off right now. And on the left side of the map, Jeep's going to go ahead and cap. Pathfinder's on the right side of the map got the VP bleed going. We want to go ahead and bleed him out as soon as possible. We're on a 6-to-1 KD ratio. That's because he's pumped out engineer squads. Engineers are not lethal unless they're behind cover. Coastal's setting up sandbags. Jeep's going to go ahead and hit the auto repair. Rifleman, second squad out into the field. Now, people like to go a third rifleman squad with the double Jeep. Don't recommend it because your manpower clap. Go ahead and make it either an engineer squad or rush captain like I'm going to do. Then get an engineer squad out. Jeep on the left side of the map trying to get a dirty decap. Rifleman putting pressure on the engineers but going to lose that fight on the right side of the map. At the same time, waiting for my rifleman squad just produced to pop out into the field and support the Jeep. The reason is the Jeep has a 120-second cooldown on the self-repair. This takes the Jeep out for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is critical in the early game, people. You can't let the Jeep just take damage for no reason. Pathfinders moving to the left side of the manpower point. We're going to go ahead and try to deny as much manpower as possible for Imperial Dane because this faction thrives on manpower cost effectiveness. Scouts are going to stay on the edge. You know, I could put in cover, but at the same time, he's going to have a high ground advantage and bleed me off. We want him to come to me, not the other way around. Engineers engaging the rifleman on the left side of the map. Going to win that engagement. Had a focus fire on the engineers. Jeep putting pressure on the coastals. Going to go ahead and get close for the close range damage. DPS trying to get the bleed as much as possible. Riflemen are losing this fight, sadly. Engineers did the damage. Going to get behind the sandbags. Again, trying to put as much bleed as possible onto these coastals. Unfortunately, we are chased off with the rifleman, delaying our ability to chase him off my fuel. Worried about a potential snare. We're 4 minutes into the game. He could have teched up already. That means snare city for the Jeeps. That means the Jeep will die. And this is where I start fucking up. His infantry presence is overpowering mine, but because the captain just popped and I said, fuck it, I'm going to go engineer in a second. There it is. We're going to go ahead and take as much map control as we can. And Imperial Dane's sitting at a plus 33 fuel, which is dangerous for us because his STUG machine is building.
Enemy movement near a victory point.
Sitting. Sorry for the stutter. Kombucha tea in my system. There's the mine I was talking about with the rifleman, and that's what you got to stress about these coastals. Cheesy mines everywhere, and he's floating a shit ton of munitions. So the longer we stay off the map, the more mines he can shit out of his ass. Being cautious. Trying to get his close range DPS onto the coastals. Unfortunately, we are half health with the rifleman, and he will get the bleed on me, and I'm not going to win this fight no matter what. But we can try to bleed him as hard as we possibly can with the captain in reserve, just doing as much damage as we can. At the same time, left side of the map, we need a good infantry push from the rifleman and the engineers combined to chase him off my fuel. Rifleman low, 2 models, going to have to back him off. Captain is ready to go, can fight the coastals if needed, and we put him to half health, so the riflemen did their job. Very risky on my part. He could have put a mine right here, and that would have been a GG for me. Jeep's healed up. I'm being a little bit stagnant with this vehicle. I don't know why I'm not moving. I think I'm more focused on the captain right now. There we go. Jeep's moving now. And we're going to go ahead and pump out our first Greyhound. You know, I see Coastals, I don't see Shreks, and I feel confident in this engagement. And I know he likes to skip Luftwaffe company and focus on a STUG. So Greyhound's going to be a great advantage to chase off these Coastals, put pressure on him, and prevent these dirty little mines popping up everywhere. At the same time, what are we doing with our engineers? We're going to go ahead and start sweeping the map. And that's what we're doing right now on the right side. We're sweeping the map, checking for mines, trying to chase this guy off my fucking points. We don't want him to be in this game. Remember, people, it's all about winning at the end of the day. You want to improve over your opponent. You know, treat him with respect, but at the same time, you want to fucking win. Everybody likes a good win. Have fun, of course. But let's be honest. I didn't grow up in a household where my parents were clapping their hands if I lost something. You want to fucking win. And I'm going to show you the best I can how to win at this game. Same time, let's on the map. Jeep's going to go ahead and take over the cap. Riflemen are going to go ahead and press. I'm going to mine sweep with their face. This is what I like to call. We're mine sweeping with their face. Worried about a potential mine. So that's what we're going to do. Riflemen, they can lose 2 models. We'll be A-OK. Jeep, we lose that. It's a GG. And our capping speed is back up onto the map. We're getting heavy infantry presence. And there's the first STUG for my opponent, Imperial Dane. He's going to make a second one if we're not careful. Engineer is just delaying as much as possible. We'll lose the fight. I could have put him in heavy cover. At the same time, I'm not stressing too hard. We mine swept. We got what we wanted. And we're just checking as much as we can right now. Jeep's going to go ahead and cap the mini point. Only 2 engineer models, so no big deal. Captain's holding the line with its Browning. 30 count.
We have a surplus of command. Defend our
and, ooh, big shot from the Greyhound. You know, I'm going to get into space. I'm not worried about a snare. Don't care. It'll only blind me. No big deal. And I call his bluff. You know, no snare from Imperial Dane. Get some big chunky shots into the coastals. At the same time, left side of the map, STUG's done its damage to the rifleman. You know, heavy bleed. The STUG can kill infantry. You might say anti-infantry tank, but it'll do a shit ton of damage.
We have recovery vehicles ready to take the field.
Oh, sorry, anti-tank. It's really an anti-infantry. It's an anti-everything button, and that's what we're stressed about. So Imperial Dane has his counter to my Greyhound. We're going to go ahead and be cautious, but at the same time, I'm going to set the bait up. I'm going to go ahead and tech the captain with the marked vehicle. Plus 25% additional damage, plus 50% easier to hit, plus 25% increased weapon penetration. Now, pause real quick. I just want to make a joke. Okay, the captain's going to mark target the STUG. Even with the mark target, the Greyhound bounces every fucking shot off the STUG. And on top of that, I had panicked. I had set this vehicle up. I was baiting Dan. A hardcore baiting because I was having the Chaffee in production in the background, so this bait was ready to go. But the fucking Greyhound's pathing fucks up so hard, I'm hitting the reverse key, and I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, it's not going. Look, it's stuck. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and bounce. I'm like, oh god, please, 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 just let me get out of here. And it starts rolling. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. Let's let me go. Bounce off the STUG. That's the second shot into the STUG. Even with marked target, I get a bounce. Look at that. Third bounce into the STUG. Mark target is not helping me. And miss. And they're 25% easier to hit. Oh, there's the Chappie coming in for the fight. So we baited Dan into a bad position. Gonna go ahead and get around. Pop the war speed onto the Chappie. Going around Imperial Dan's STUG as much as possible. Mark target still into effect. Gonna bring the Greyhound in. Blocking. Trying to block his STUG with the Chappie. Getting critical hits. That's it. STUG down. Boom. We're good. Imperial Dane's debating. I know for a fact that just hurt the shit out of him. Even if he makes an additional STUG, it's over. Pumps out his coastal officer. Imperial Dane's going to call it quits, and that's GG. And yeah, that was a nail biter for me, folks. Like, even if it was 9 minutes, you gotta understand. I did not want to lose this match. He fucking smashed me in a previous match easily because I was trying something different with Brits. I was trying to make them work. But at the same time, put USF in my hands, we're going to have a little bit of a better success story. Now, I lose all the time, so GG to Imperial Dane. But at the same time, you want to survive this guy? I understand he's going to make 3 engineers at the start of the map. He's going to go for MG42. He's going to go for 2 grenadiers. And with this build, STUG, then artillery officer. What he should have done is probably pumped out another STUG, but he was trying to infantry swarm me out of the map. You know, put mines on every little sector, and it boxes me in, and that's a smart way to play coastals, and that's how you have to play coastals. At the same time, fuck that. I don't want to lose to that shit. And that's pretty much it, folks. I'll have a longer match today. Rank 97 versus rank 97 Wehrmacht, excuse me. Alright, you guys have a good day.